You know how sometimes you follow a financial rule for years, thinking you're doing the right thing, only to find out it might be completely wrong? Well, we're about to dive into a story just like that. A journey that starts with a huge fear of credit cards and ends somewhere totally different. Wow, right? That is a huge statement. A complete 180-degree turn. So what on earth could make somebody who was terrified of credit cards suddenly ditch their debit card for good? Well, the answer involves some stolen cash, a pretty nasty online scam, and a whole new way of thinking about money. So, where did this all start? Like a lot of us, right? You start reading personal finance books. And a really common theme in a lot of those books is just how dangerous consumer debt is and how credit cards are just wrecking people's lives financially. And honestly, that message was scary. And that fear of just drowning in debt, it was so real. So a super strict rule was put in place. Only use debit cards and cash for everything. It just felt like the smart, responsible, and safe way to handle your money. I mean, if you're only spending money you actually have in your account, you can't get into debt. It sounds like a perfect plan, doesn't it? But as we all know, life has a way of finding the flaws in even our best laid plans. And it turned out that this safe, debit, and cash-only strategy had some pretty serious weak spots that were about to become very, very clear. So the first hint that something was wrong, it actually happened at the gym. Some cash got stolen out of a wallet from a locked locker, and it didn't just happen once, it happened twice. And both times, yeah, a police report was filed, but nothing ever came of it. The money was just poof, gone for good. It was a really frustrating way to learn that cash has absolutely zero protection if it gets stolen. Okay, so losing a few $100 to theft, that stings. But it was this number right here that was the final painful wake-up call. $3,500 just vanished. This was the moment that forced a complete rethinking of the whole debit-only strategy. So here's what went down. As part of a business idea, there was a big purchase for $3,500 worth of cell phone accessories. The payment was made through PayPal, but here's the key part. It was funded directly with a debit card. And the problem? The products never showed up. The seller just disappeared. So after PayPal said they couldn't help, the next call was to the bank, the debit card company, and their response was just brutal and shocking. They basically said, look, once the money leaves your account, it's gone. There's nothing we can do. No purchase protection, no way to dispute the charge. That $3,500 was lost forever. So what do you do at that point? You've had cash stolen with no way to get it back, and now you've lost thousands from your bank account with zero protection. That frustration finally started to outweigh that long-standing fear of credit cards. It was time to try something new, but it had to be a very, very calculated risk. And this right here, this was the light bulb moment, the question that changed everything. The fear was always that the credit card itself was the problem, that it would magically make you overspend. But the thinking shifted to, wait a second, I'm a disciplined person. I know I spend less than I earn. So is the tool the problem, or is it how a person uses that tool? So the approach was to tiptoe, not jump. The first step wasn't some fancy travel card with a huge limit. Nope. It was just going to a local bank and getting a super basic credit card with a tiny limit, just $600. This was like a safety net, a way to test the waters without any real danger of getting into serious trouble. And the new, unbreakable rule was simple. Treat this credit card exactly like a debit card. Only use it for things you are already going to buy, and, this is the most important part, pay the balance off in full every single month without fail. And guess what? That huge mountain of debt that everyone was so scared of, it never showed up. So, after using the credit card with this kind of discipline for a little while, something completely unexpected happened. It started to become clear that a credit card wasn't just a way to pay for things with better protection. It actually came with some pretty amazing benefits. A letter shows up in the mail from the credit card company, and you know that feeling? You think, oh boy, here we go. But it wasn't a bill with some scary balance. It was a notice saying there were rewards ready to be redeemed. And it was like, wait, what? Rewards? For spending money that I was going to spend anyway? This was the real aha moment. The first sign that using a credit card the right way could actually be profitable. And this quote just nails the lesson learned from all this. The card itself isn't good or bad. It's just a tool. A credit card in the hands of someone who's disciplined is an incredibly powerful tool. But you give that exact same card to someone with bad spending habits, and it's like pouring gasoline on a fire. So let's break this down, because this is the key difference. When you swipe a debit card, you're spending your money, and it's gone from your account instantly with very little protection. When you use a credit card, you're spending the bank's money for a little while. That gives you leverage, it gives you amazing purchase protection, and on top of all that, they actually pay you for it with cashback, miles, and all kinds of other perks. So how big can those rewards really get? Well, take a look at this. This number represents the amount of cashback earned in a single month. Over $600, just for making purchases that had to be made anyway. The math here is actually pretty simple. If you have a business, for example, with $30,000 in monthly expenses, stuff you have to buy no matter what, and you run that through a card that gives you 2% cash back, that's over $600 that goes right back into your pocket. So the choice becomes pretty clear. You can either get paid for your spending, or by using a debit card, you're essentially just throwing that free money away every month. Okay, now we have to pause here because this all sounds incredible, but it comes with a massive, and I mean massive, warning. This strategy is really powerful, but it is absolutely not for everybody. Before you even think about switching, you have to pass this crucial test. You have to be brutally honest with yourself. If you can look at these three things and say, yes, absolutely, to all of them, then using a credit card for everything is probably a brilliant financial move for you. You have to have total control. And you have to commit to paying that balance to zero every single month. No excuses, no exceptions. But if you know you have a habit of overspending, or if you think you might be tempted to just carry a small balance from time to time, then please do not do this. Just stick with debit cards and cash. The ridiculous interest fees will completely wipe out any rewards you earn, and you'll end up right back in that debt you were trying so hard to avoid. And that is the absolute bottom line. It all comes down to you and your habits. That 2% cash back or those airline miles are never, ever, ever worth paying 20-something% in interest. Your personal discipline is the only thing that decides whether a credit card is a tool or a trap. So we'll leave you with this question to really think about, and it requires being really honest with yourself. Are you the kind of person who can handle the powerful tool and use it to your advantage? Or are you someone where the simple, safe path of a debit card is still the smartest choice? Only you know the answer.